Today, Fun with Flowers and Jay is brought to you by Swiss Army Tools.
Welcome to the world of flowers. I'm Jay Schwanke. I've spent my entire life surrounded by flowers. As a fourth-generation florist, flowers have been a part of my daily life for as long as I can remember. Now I'm on a mission to share my knowledge and love of flowers with everyone I meet. Growing, picking, arranging, designing, and sharing. It's all fascinating to me because I love flowers. Anything flowers and everything flowers. Welcome to Fun with Flowers and Jay. Today on Fun with Flowers and Jay, we're looking at the essential tools for flower arranging and sharing techniques that will give you expert results. The most important tool is your knife. So let's discuss the best knife you can use for flower arranging. I prefer my Swiss Army locking blade knife because I use my knife to harvest flowers, I use my knife to cut flowers, I use my knife to process flowers, and I also use my knife to arrange flowers. So it's important and it's the essential tool. We call this a locking blade knife because it actually folds down and then opens up and locks in place. You can also use a knife like this. It's a fixed blade knife. It's great because now Swiss Army makes these in wonderful colors. Fixed blades in 4 colors and the locking blade in 5 colors. The great part about this is if you have several people who are working and arranging with knives, everyone can have their own favorite color. As my grandpa always used to say, you can't do nothing without a sharp knife. And I get asked so many times, what's the best way for me to sharpen my Swiss Army knife? Let's take a look at a tool that they create. It's a knife sharpener. With this, it's very simple. We lay the knife upside down on the table, place our hand inside the sharpener, and then run the sharpening divot right along the blade. Usually about 2 or 3 strokes will take care of it perfectly. Every day I start off by sharpening my knife because a sharp knife is a happy knife. It's going to cut our flowers well and we won't hurt ourselves with a sharp knife. Let's talk about cutting with our knife. One of the things that we want to do is ensure that we get a fresh slanted cut. A slanted cut like this, 45-degree angle, is perfect for flowers because when it gets placed into the vase and sits on the bottom, there's still plenty of room for the water to go up the stem. We don't want to use scissors or bunch cutters to cut our flowers. If we're using a bunch cutter like this, what happens is it actually compresses the stem, and so that vascular system becomes squished like a straw. Also, when it goes into a vase, it sits flush on the bottom of the vase. It's better to do a 45-degree cut. Now, what I always do is think about football. I lay my hand out, wrap my fingers around the blade, and the blade and my thumb form a goalpost. The thing to remember about a goalpost is that either side of the goalpost doesn't go towards the other one. They're stationary and stable. Our flower stem actually acts like a football and goes between the goalposts. Then we turn it sideways and we use leverage with the stem against our thumb and against our blade to cut the flower. Then we have a perfect cut. So now let's talk about a few other cutting tools and the proper way to use them. First off, we have wire cutters. Wire cutters are great for cutting wire. So if we have florist wire, we can use our wire cutters to cut that. We wouldn't want to use our scissors or our bunch cutters or our ribbon scissors to cut wire. Bunch cutters come in 2 sizes. I like this one because my hands are a little bit bigger, but if your hands are smaller, the petite size is great. This is great for cutting off bands or also cutting bunches. Now again, we talked about the fact that I would prefer to cut this with a knife. If I'm trying to do speed cutting or cutting a lot of product at one time, I might use the bunch cutters. Bunch cutters can be essential too for woody stems. So sometimes I have a big stem like this, and it's woody, I'll come in and cut it. Now, notice that I still cut it at a 45-degree angle so that I still have good water transmission that can happen. Or many times our foliages will have woody stems. So cutting those at an angle is also helpful using our bunch cutters. Then we have scissors. The shears, like this, are also great for opening up a bunch, like this. Or perhaps we want to come in and maybe snip off a few select pieces. So we might use the scissors to cut a few select pieces that we might use for a smaller project. I love this because they come with a red and a black handle. And I might have different uses for each one, so that way I can keep track of which is used for which purpose. And finally, my ribbon scissors. My ribbon scissors are used exclusively for ribbon. Nothing else gets cut with my ribbon scissors because I want it to remain sharp and I want to be able to create a very nice even cut with it. Or we might want to do a dovetail. But having a ribbon scissors that's sharp is essential for being able to cut beautiful ribbon every time. Let's take the techniques that we've learned and create a simple flower arrangement. First, we'll select our vase. I've got two vases here. These are great because they're made out of 100% post-consumer recycled glass. What I really like about them is the fact that they have a great shape. You'll notice that the neck is narrower and there's a large area at the bottom to hold lots of water. What happens is the stems can splay out at the bottom and they splay out at the top, and the vase naturally holds them together in the center. It makes it easier for us to create an arrangement. We have our water and we've mixed in our flower nutrients. So we'll add that water to our vase. That's a great amount of water because we're going to add our stems in there and the water level will fill up. For our next step, we'll make our arranging a little bit easier by creating a grid work across the top of the vase. I'll use our clear waterproof cellophane tape because it disappears on a clear glass vase. That sticks to the vase very well, but just for insurance, I run one more strip around the edge. That way, I make sure that it holds on to all the ends on all the sides. So the next step is to select the flowers. So we'll use some stock blossoms. We have some alstroemeria, some beautiful, fragrant English garden roses from David Austin, beautiful chocolate Queen Anne's lace, and some boxwood. Now, one of the essential things to remember is to remove any foliage that will fall below the waterline. Foliage or flowers that are underwater cause bacteria very, very quickly. The grid work that we put on top of the vase will help us keep things in different sections. I love stock because it's so fragrant and it helps us define the shape of our bouquet. I've placed two of the stock together and then two on the other side. These are grouped for a little more emphasis and it gives it a little more casual appearance. Alstroemeria is extremely long-lasting and all of those buds and blossoms are going to open up thanks to the nutrients we have in the water. It's also important to leave the leaves around the flower blossoms on the flowers themselves. Removing those leaves would deter the flower from being able to draw up water. So having those leaves up there helps bring moisture up to those blossoms and will help them open up further. You also can cut off the thorns. I'm cautious to just remove the ends of the thorns. I don't want to get into the skin of the flower or open that up at all. We can pull off about 1.5 yards of ribbon. We'll tie it right around the neck of the vase. We'll just use a normal shoelace bow. The coordinating colors look great with the flowers we selected. Our final step is to use our Kreisel Professional Glory. This flower nutrient helps seal those flowers and add additional nutrients that are going to make our flowers last a long, long time. So now you see how easy and fun it can be to arrange flowers. And that's because you have the essential tools and know the proper techniques. Until next time, keep having fun with flowers.